Okay, so this episode is going to be a little bit different to what you've had in the past. I put a couple of videos out going back years ago now, exploring different concepts behind a cafe racer build and a scrambler build and all that, and the basic principles of what makes a cafe racer styling wise and what makes a scrambler and all this. And those videos kind of outlined the basic rules, saying it like that because they shouldn't be followed strictly. The best thing about building at the moment is that rules are broken and that designs evolve and there's no boundary between a scrambler build and a cafe racer and everything like that. Everything's kind of merging into one, and that look really goes down well with me. And so I started playing around with ideas, and the next build on this channel, it's going to be the monster, it's going to be the Ducati 600 there. And so I started designing that bike, and that bike is going to really push the abilities of what I can do. It's going to push the technologies, so for this next build we're going to have access to CNC milling, 3D printing, plasma cutting, everything. So the Ducati Monster is going to look absolutely awesome. So anyway, it made me think, how far can I actually push a build? And then my friend bought a BMW R100T. So I said to him, bring it here, we'll see what we can do with it. And I drew him up a concept, and I knew I was pushing it way too far with this concept here. And it freaked him out a little bit. So he won't be going down using this concept here. He's going to go for something far more traditional and far more in keeping with BMW's spirit, I should say. But nonetheless, I've designed this concept and I thought, well, instead of keeping it to myself, why not show it to you guys, show what is possible with designing bikes and changing lines and things like that. I'm not a bike designer, I'm not even a bike builder officially, but that doesn't mean that it should stop anyone from designing their own bikes and actually pushing limits of what they can do and things like that. So this here is simply a concept drawing, and it's not to say that it will never happen in this workshop here. We may be lucky enough to come across a BMW R model. It doesn't have to be an R100, just has to have that boxer engine and that amazing frame that goes along with it. The simplicity of that bike is beautiful, and the engine on its own is a masterpiece and a work of art. So never say never, it might be done. We have the abilities to do everything that I've designed on this bike, so it could happen. If you'd like to see it happen, then comment down below, and you know, stranger things have happened. So this is what I would do if I was to design a BMW R100 cafe racer / street fighter.
And what we're going to start off with here is a really basic BMW R model. We're missing a piece of the frame, but that's only because the way I work is that I use existing pictures of bikes and cut everything that I don't need off, and that obviously leaves me without a frame, without the frame information. We've obviously got a USD fork system on this. What comes with that is obviously better brakes, better discs, or anything like that. So I thought that would be a good starting point. Adding some really nice tyres, some really nice sporty tyres on this. I want the bike to have an aggressive look, and this is the option that I've gone for here, rather than some knobblies or some sort of really tubular, massive Dunlops or Firestones or anything like that. There's some really nice tyres. And the cowl is going to be quite a controversial choice, I know, because cafe racers essentially need to have that straight line going in the back, but as I mentioned before, you can bend the rules and you can do hybrids of things. So this is kind of like a street fighter superbike look cowl that I quite fancy. I'll talk about the lines in a minute, but it's to give it that more aggressive stance of leaning forward. The tank, as much as I love BMW tanks, especially these R model tanks, they're so chunky and beautiful, I didn't actually think it would suit the look of this bike, so I've gone with a custom shaped tank that I've drawn myself, and that would obviously have to be custom made if we created it either out of aluminium carbon fibre, but it goes well with the lines and keeps that sweeping line from the front to the back. Add in a couple of mud guards at the front, seeing as we've got the ones at the back. So the headlight fairing is the next option on this bike. I didn't want to go with a full all-in-one fairing that covers the engine and everything like that. I wanted it to be a two-piece system. So having this little neat fairing at the front just completes that look, but it is missing something. I find that it's too kind of top heavy at the moment, and as much as I like that engine at the bottom, as much as I like that weight on the engine at the bottom, it kind of doesn't look in proportion. So we will add a full fairing for the body that I designed myself here. Made up of bits of carbon fibre. We've got little inset gills at the front there. We've got a honeycomb, could be either 3D printed or plasma cut honeycomb grille at the back with the R100T stamp on it as well. And this now lets that flat configuration of a boxer engine, the two little heads sticking out on each side, and lets that exhaust poke out as well. Fitted with a little exhaust at the bottom which tucks away, and of course exhaust strap. There is a lot of debate about exhaust wrap at the moment. A lot of people don't like exhaust wrap and things, but heck, for the sake of a visual, I'm going to change the colour of the exhaust and use exhaust wrap. I'll put a bit of full of old background on it as well. And there you go, these are the elements of the bike. So there's not too many elements involved in actually creating this bike if we wanted to actually fabricate and bring this bike to life. So I'm going to talk quickly about the lines. I'm going to draw a quick line from each axle just so that we've got a straight point to work from. Obviously the ground is straight, but it always helps to have this line here. First line that strikes me here is the new suspension that I've put on. I've relocated it at another mounting point, so that's like a 45-degree angle going down there. And what I like about this then is that the seat angle itself can be perpendicular to the actual shot, and that works pretty nice like that. So to give this bike a really aggressive look, I want the front to look like it's leaning down onto the road, and obviously that cowl is part of the job there. You've got this visual line with the rear mudguard as well. The main body is sitting horizontal with that axle line as well, going all the way from the front fairing, under the tank and under the main part of the seat. But where those visual lines then come back to actually push the front down into the road, I'm creating that with the paint scheme. So the contrast between the green and the white is where your visual line goes down. And same going from the back of the cowl to the front of the bike, and this little top one at the front here, which you can pretty much miss, but it is there. Now I was after that streamlined look as well, going from the front to the back, pretty much what you'd expect from a wind tunnel, I would have thought. So what I've created here is with a carbon fibre side, so that carbon fibre swoosh then follows that rear swing arm from the front to the back, and the fairing from the front headline and the body as well actually keeps that line going from the front, bends underneath the tank, and then sweeps back out under the seat. So following on with the lines here as well, I've added a little carbon fibre decal on that front headlight fairing which follows the upside down forks and swoops back. A little carbon fibre detail just behind that rear wheel so that the actual fairing itself is hugging around that wheel, and the same at the back, keeping the rear end hugging the rear of the wheel. And just to create more little kind of wind tunnel lines, I'm going to call them, just that little lip at the top of the fairing swoops back, and you've got the two little gills at the side. And that is the lot. That's a quick and brief explanation of the lines I was thinking as I was drawing this, and it's my take on a BMW R100 if it was to come into the workshop.
And that is all for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's something a little bit different. We're not actually building a bike, but we are designing it. It's a key part of actually building bikes, is to think of what you're going to do. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Coming up this Friday, we've got more videos from Diamond City Cycles. We'll be fabricating the cowl this Friday. More videos of the CB750 coming next week. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the pipeline. Might even increase the number of videos up to 4 next week. We're currently doing 3 videos a week at the moment. Might be pushed up to 4 a week for next week. We'll see. So, if you like what you see, subscribe, hit that bell icon, follow me on Instagram, follow Diamond City Cycles as well on their Instagram, and support the charity build that we're doing for Diamond City Cycles by visiting the link below and donating $5. For every $5 you donate, that will be 1 entry to win the CX500 tracker that we have built up there. So until the next video, which is Friday, ride safe, stay safe, and I will see you then.